Hi everyone, Sophia here from mygreatchallenge.blogspot.com. I am here to show you the recipe for Buche de Noel. It's a traditional French dessert. It's a rolled cake. I'm going to insert the photos and pictures right now. I'm going to show you how to make this. I got to put my apron on and show you all the ingredients, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did for Thanksgiving, step-by-step instruction. I hope you enjoy it. Don't mind the craziness on top of my head. I've got my rollers on. Today is Christmas Eve, okay? So I had to put my curlers on, and that's basically what's going on. All right, so the ingredients. You need 4 eggs. You need 140 grams of flour, which you will have to sift. You need 125 grams of granulated sugar, 1 pack of vanilla sugar. This one is written in French, but you can find it in the American stores. And you need 80 grams of butter, some salt, and just a pinch, and you're gonna need the zest of a lemon. So I have my apron on. Let me start by breaking my eggs. You're using full eggs and you're placing them in a separate bowl. So that's 1. Alright, 4 eggs. And the last thing I'm going to add to this bowl is the zest of a lemon. You could do the zest of an orange as well. Just make sure it's finely zested. So you want to do it, you know, fine grater. This is, oops, that's my oven. The oven is at 355, by the way. 355 Fahrenheit. And I want a lot, just a tiny bit. The next step is to fill a large pan with water, and you're going to bring it to a slight boil. The reason why you're doing this is because that bowl that you have is going to be placed in there, and as the water is just showing a little bit of bubble, you never want it to boil because otherwise you're going to cook the eggs. You're just going to go ahead and whip the content of your bowl until everything basically doubles in volume. So I'm just going to take this out of the water right now. I'm going to wait for the water to get hotter and almost boiling. All right, I'm ready to do this. And again, make sure that the water never boils. In the meantime, and on the side, I'm just gonna melt my butter. Make sure you don't burn it. You just want it to be melted. So you have some recipes that ask for you to cream your butter with the sugar, and this is the best way to do it, because if you do it with the bowl immersed in water, like I did, what happens is that you actually melt your sugar, and you get to really mix your ingredients. So I'm gonna set that aside because I have to get my flour and sift it. All right, for this next step, I'm going to add the flour to my sugar cream. My butter is still on the side. I've turned off the heat. It's just like slowly melting on its own now. And you don't want to add all of your flour at the same time. You just add a little bit, like I'm doing right now, and then you want to fold it over your egg and sugar mixture with a wooden spoon, very so gently. The reason why you're doing this way is because you want to keep your entire batter very fluffy. Okay, so this is mixed put a little bit more. I'm gonna use this. And you just fold it. You don't turn too much, you just fold it. Remember, this is all about preserving the fluffiness of your batter. Okay, so I have about this much flour left. Here's my melted butter. I'm going to add it very, very slowly. Little bits at a time. You don't want to dump all of your butter in there. One, because it's still warm, and what's going to happen is that it's going to start cooking your ingredients. You don't want that. And two, because it's much heavier in terms of mass, I guess, than your batter. And if you just dump the whole thing in, what's going to happen is that your entire fluffiness is going to just disappear, and the whole batter, I guess, is going to flatten, and you're not going to get the same result with your cake. I'm about ready to add a little bit more flour. And again, I'm just folding. The last of the butter. I'm keeping a little bit of butter to the side. That's going to be for the mold. Okay, so this is it. This is the consistency that you want. Okay, let me get my mold. All right, remember, this is not a traditional cake, it's going to be a rolled cake. So I have this pan right here, that's a 12 by 17. You gotta make sure it's nice and clean. This one is actually fairly new. I have a piece of parchment paper that's going to go all the way at the bottom. I'm gonna take some paper towel. I'm gonna go inside my pan here with the butter, and I'm going to coat this with butter, and then I'm going to show you a little trick. You make sure you get the entire surface coated. Alright? And once you get that done, guess what? You flip it the other way around and flatten it. Now you've got the entire bottom part of your parchment paper that is coated with butter, and that allows you to have this surface right here that is going to be really non-stick. I'm still adding butter to it. Alright, I'm now ready to pour my batter directly into the pan. I'm going to try to spread it as much as I can. Now you could completely make a regular a cake, like a square cake that you split in half with this kind of batter. But that's not what I'm doing here. I'm doing something that I'm going to roll. So if I was doing a cake that needs to be split in half, like let's say I was using a 9-inch pan, right? what's going to happen is that I would have to cook it for about 30 minutes. But because this is much, much thinner, I'm going to cook it for way less time. So I'm going to have to keep on checking on it until the middle part is slightly damp. I'm going to put a knife right here to stop it. And to make sure I get everything even, I'm just going to go at it like this with a knife. Be better if I had a spatula, but apparently I don't. Alright, I'm going to put it in the oven for, oh, I don't know. I'm going to check it every 8 minutes. Alright, I have a large pot with about a cup and a half of water. I have my berries, which I just washed. I have some blackberry, raspberries, and blueberries. I'm just going to place them inside my pot. Add 1 cup of sugar. Mix the whole thing. And I'm just going to let them boil and reduce. I'm not going to cover it. I want them to reduce to a very, very thick paste until they're cooked. I have a bowl here that has water, about 3 tablespoons of bourbon. You can use rum. And 4 tablespoons of sugar. I'm going to put that in the microwave to get the sugar to melt. Should have used a bigger pot. Let me do it this way. Once they completely drain, I'm going to be left with just the fruit, and I'm just going to pass it on the grinder a little bit. Alright, I'm ready to puree my fruit. Just put them directly in here. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I just don't want to have too many chunks. And that's basically what constitutes a coulis. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. You see that? So it's perfect to spread as a layer for a cake. And it also tastes delicious. I'm giving you a close-up so you can see the texture. It's basically like a fluid jam. That's really what it is. And that's basically enough to just spread throughout my entire cake. Here comes the hardest part, the rolling of the cake. I have a kitchen towel here that I'm slightly damping with my mixture of bourbon and sugar and water. It's only because I wanted to keep the outside of my cake when it's rolled moist, okay? Instead, okay. Flip it. Remove the parchment paper. See that? Okay, now that's where it gets complicated. I want to moisten it a little bit. Same thing with that mixture of bourbon, sugar, and water. It'd be great if I had it in a spray bottle. Now the reason why I want to hurry up is because the colder it gets, the harder it is to roll. And if you overcook it, the sides right here will start cracking, and then you got to cut them off and you're losing cake. Alright, that should do it. Alright, so here we go. you just go ahead and the first one you go like this, right? You roll it. Once you've had it already put together, you just go like this, and you don't want to push too hard, and that's the reason why you got a towel that's wet. Okay. I hope you see what I'm doing. Okay. Alright. Put it like this. Now I'm just gonna wrap it with the towel. Keep it tight like this. And I'm gonna let it cool for a little bit, a good 20 minutes, because what I want is for it to take that shape, because then I'm gonna unroll it and put my raspberry all over. Alright, so I'm ready to unroll it. You gotta be very gentle. This is not an easy cake. Uh-oh, it broke right here, but that's alright. I'll reshape it. Alright, let me put the raspberry right here. And some of it will come out to the side, and that's okay because I'm going to cut the sides anyway. So they stay straight. And it's going to ruin my towel. Don't do that with a good towel, right? Use an old one, clean, but old that, you know, if it gets stained, it's not the end of the world. Okay, let's reshape. You see what happened is that I already trained my log in the shape that I wanted it to, and that's the reason why I can't reshape it. Okay, I'll give you a view from the side. Alright, so this is what it looks like. Alright, so let me just put it in the platter. Alright, so I have a platter that's exactly the right size. Now I gotta be very gentle. I'm gonna roll it a little bit to the side. Careful not to break it. And put it right here. Okay. And I'm gonna take a good knife, serrated one preferably, and I'm just gonna cut the edges right here to get a very nice slice that's straight, so that I don't have all of those pieces right here to the side. Alright, so here we go. I'm gonna just cut this part right here. And remove it. I can clean my platter later. I'm going to cut the part right here as well. Right here. And then clean the sides. Alright, I'll give you a close-up. This is what it looks like on one side and on the other side. So now all I have to do is cover it with chocolate. Alright, so I'm ready to start the chocolate ganache, which is basically like the frosting that goes all over it and gives it the dark color and the bark of a log. I'm just going to mix some semi-sweet morsels of chocolate. I have a little bit of water, maybe a half a cup, and some milk one, because not everybody likes the semi-sweet in there, and I'm just going to melt it, wait for it to cool down a little bit, and then I'm just gonna spread it all over my log. Alright, I'm ready to cover it with chocolate. I have my chocolate here that's been melted, and I'm just going to start pouring it over and spread it thinly. And again, I can clean my plate afterwards. I'm probably going to have to do several layers. Now what I want to do is have a good layer of chocolate on it, because what's going to happen once this is hardened a little bit, I'm going to take the back of a fork, the tines of a fork, and I'm going to make, you know, little streaks as though it is an actual wood log. And then once it's done, have to decorate it, and right before serving I add a little bit of powdered sugar to make it look like it snowed over it. Now the hardest part is to cover the edges here. So you kind of have to be gentle and spread it. And that's one of the reasons why I cut the edges, because if I have the raspberry that's coming off, it starts getting mixed together and it's not a good look. This will be enough. Let me do the other side. Alright, so I cleaned my plate a little bit. I got a fork and I'm just going to use the tines and make some kind of pattern. Make it look a little bit more like an actual log. And some of them you can make them a little bit rounded, like this, like it's a knot. And make another one on the other side. Okay, I'm just gonna go get a little bit of holly. Use cranberries to make the little red things, and I'll have a look. Alright, so I have some holly that I picked from the garden, and I'm just planting them directly into the log, and then I'm taking a cranberry and putting it right here, pushing it into the chocolate so it stays. I have 3, so I'm just going to go ahead and put one in the middle and one on either side, so this stays right here. Of course you got to remove them. This a little bit over like this, and like this. All right. And this is a Buche de Noel. So right before serving, like I said, I'll add some powdered sugar or confectioner's sugar to make it look like it's snowed. The reason why you don't want to do that now is because the chocolate is still a bit wet. So your powder is just going to get all soggy and it will disappear. You won't be able to see it. But anyway, this is a Buche de Noel.